What is up, IF Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're gonna finally talk about, specifically for intermittent fasting, when does that body fat burning actually start when you're doing intermittent fasting? Not anything else. Not when does body fat burning start in general, but when does it start specifically for intermittent fasting? Stay tuned. Okay, this video is going to be very, very short because I'm just going to tell you that number, and I know that the moment you know that number, you guys are just going to go out, click this video off, and just take off and start trying to accomplish your intermittent fasting goals, which I do not blame you. So, intermittent fasting is different for a lot of people, and the fasting state is what actually starts the body fat burning. So that's what it is. You want to go from fed state to the fasting state. Now, there's a lot of people that say, well, what's a fasted state? What's a true fasting state? Well, a true fasting state is when you actually have your insulin completely at baseline, and also you're no longer digesting your food. So that time frame takes about 6 to 12 hours. Now, I say 6 to 12 hours, and I know that I've said 6 hours. 6 hours is what it takes for your insulin to drop, but a lot of people are different, but it doesn't take more than 12 hours. So the most safe number is 12. A few people lie in the 6-hour range, but almost everybody lies in that 12-hour range. Once you hit that 12-hour range, just to keep it on the safe side, so you're not fasting for a low amount of time, let's say we put it on the 12-hour range. After the 12-hour range, after you hit the 12 hours, from 6 to 12 hours, but 12 hours for this example, because I want to encompass everybody. Once you hit the 12 hours, you're in a post-absorptive range, which means that your body has completely pulled all of the energy and glucose from the foods that you've actually consumed. And depending on what type of food you consume, you could actually shorten this time frame as well. If the main source of the full amount of food that you've eaten is carbs, then it will take up to the 12 hours. If you do the keto diet, for example, because the macronutrient fats actually raise your insulin less than all the other macronutrients, less than protein, and definitely a lot less than carbs, then it'll be the 6-hour range for that. And if you do like a normal low carb and a higher protein, just a normal meal where it's not like reducing carbs all the way, it'll be probably about 8 hours, 9 hours. So think of it like that. If you think 12 hours all the time, then you will be in a better position. And yes, at the 12-hour mark, if you were to eat a high carbohydrate diet, in the 12-hour mark, you will commence the fasted state. You will be in the post-absorptive state, which is the fasted state. And at this point, your body will switch from using the glycogen and go ahead and start using your body fat as energy. Now, to keep this up, or to speed it up, or to get your body in this fasted state much faster, because it is dynamic, you can actually reduce that time frame from 12 to about 9 hours, is when you become fat adapted. And how you become fat adapted is by practicing intermittent fasting. When you practice intermittent fasting, it is literally like exercise to build muscle. When you exercise, you're exercising to build muscle. Your muscles get stronger, your muscles get better, and you can do higher weights and all that stuff. It's the same thing with intermittent fasting. The more you do intermittent fasting, the more your body becomes fat adapted, the more comfortable it is switching from the fed state to the fasted state. So you want to be fat adapted. You want to get your body fat adapted. And it also works like exercise in the point where if you stop exercising for a long period of time and then try to go back into exercising, you're not going to be as strong as you were before. Being fat adapted has that same increase and drop if you stop utilizing intermittent fasting. So you don't want to stop intermittent fasting, because if you do, then you become less fat adapted. So when you come back into it, you're going to have to build that fat adaptation back to the level that you had it before. So there it is. That is the time that it takes for when you intermittently fast to get into that fasted state, which will commence the body fat burning. Now, what does this mean? That means that truly, if, for example, you're doing a 20-hour fast, then you are truly simply burning body fat for about 8 hours if we go off of the 12-hour fed state mark. So basically, the longer you fast, the more body fat you will be burning. And you will also be further strengthening your fat adaptation the longer you fast as well. So if you do the lean gains diet, your fasted state time frame is about 4 hours. So you'll be burning fat for 4 hours throughout the day. But all of that gets compounded. So if you feel comfortable doing the lean gains diet, the 16 hours of fasting and the 8 hours of eating, then stick to it because it'll compound. After day 2, it's 8. After day 3, it's 12. After day 4, it's 16 hours. So just keep it going. If you feel comfortable doing it, you are definitely burning body fat. And remember to try your best to actually take advantage of the fact that your body is switched from using sugar to body fat, because your body will always choose sugar if there's sugar in your body, if there's glycogen in your body. So if you want to change these numbers, if you want to get into a fasted state in 8 hours or 6 hours, then do a ketogenic diet. Reduce your carb intake and increase your fat intake, and you can get there probably in around the 6-hour mark, the 7-hour mark, depending on your specific body, but also depending on your insulin resistance and sensitivity. If you want to also reduce this number, you want to make yourself more insulin sensitive, what you want to do is you want to do some exercise. If you add exercise throughout the week, you will increase your insulin sensitivity and decrease your insulin resistance. This would then mean that you will utilize less insulin. So the less insulin that you use, the faster it can go down to baseline. And remember this one critical thing: you cannot burn body fat if you're not at baseline with your insulin. I don't care what anyone tells you. The scientific element of burning body fat, of truly burning body fat, and this is not losing weight, and this is not being at a caloric deficit. This is taking the body fats that your body stores as an emergency protocol to use when you're not eating. That is exactly what it's for. So your body is very intelligent in the fact that it will block your body fat from dispersing if you're in a fed state. Your insulin must be at baseline. It has to be at baseline before your body makes the decision to go into your emergency reserve, because that's what it is. It's like a boat. Think about a boat. Think about a cruise line going on the water and just basically never using the lifeboats. Why would your cruise line throw the lifeboats in the water and start putting people in there if the boat is perfectly fine? They're not going to do that. That's the point. Your body fat storage are the lifeboats, if you will. Intermittent fasting is the hack to throw those lifeboats into the water and have people go out away from the boat and use the lifeboats instead of this huge cruise line that's perfectly fine. You will be perfectly fine. However, you will send the signals to your body that for some reason you cannot eat, and that signal is what will trigger the body fat to be used. This is why people who do the 6 meals a day diet find it extremely difficult to burn body fat. Some people might say, well, that maybe the 6 meals a day diet will allow me to build muscle. This isn't a muscle thing. The calories in versus calories out is a muscle thing. Eating all the time will just keep your insulin up, and that's a body fat storage thing. Having more fat so that you feel you have more muscles is not actually as healthy as you think. It might look good to some people. Some people might like the fact that the fat on top of the muscle makes them look much bigger, but trust me, you will look much better in a very lean, low body fat percentage look with an increased size in muscle tissue. That's the look that you would want to go for, and that's actually the more healthier version of yourself, rather than creating this facade of having body fat and muscle to make you look bigger. So that's it, guys. There's not much to it. 6 to 12 hours is the fed state. Once you hit that 6 to 12 hour mark, you will go into the fasted state. And once you're in that fasted state, you can start attacking the body fat storage because your insulin is at baseline. But how do you control that range? Adding exercise will make you more insulin sensitive, which makes the range much less, which gives you more for the same amount of time. Also, reducing your carb intake will also reduce the amount of time that it takes for you to get into a fasted state, and fasting continuously all the time will also reduce the amount of time, bringing it closer to the 6 and further away from the 12. Fat adaptation is equivalent to building muscle. You want to build your fat adaptation, and that takes a lot of time. It takes months. Sometimes you need to just build it and build it and build it, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger the more you continue to fast. So don't jeopardize it, guys. Once you get into this fat adaptation stage where your body is so comfortable switching from fed to fasted and utilizing body fat storage, it'll be much easier for you to do intermittent fasting. And at that point, the sky's the limit. You'll be burning body fat really, really fast and effectively while still protecting all of your muscle tissues at the same time with the human growth hormone increase. And I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon. I'm going to put their names right up here. and I'll see you guys on Wednesday for another FAQ. Peace.